Welcome back to our series on the fruit of the Spirit, based on Galatians chapter 5, verse 22 and 23. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things there is no law. Those who belong to Christ Jesus have crucified the sinful nature with its passions and desires. And then verse 25, since we live by the Spirit, let us keep in step with the Spirit. Let us not become conceited, provoking, and envying each other. Today I want to peel back the fruit of the Spirit that we would call patience or long-suffering or forbearance. It's that part of the cluster of the fruit of the Spirit that suggests to us there is a dimension of fruit that the Spirit wants to give us to help us to bear up with one another, to tolerate one another, even to forgive one another, and that demonstrate some restraint when we are in a relationship with people. And so we have fruit, and there's a cluster of fruit. Oh my goodness, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And today we partake of this cluster of fruit, and we want to talk about patience. We want to talk about the supernatural ability to be able to endure one another. My wife and I had the privilege of going to Disneyland several years ago. And we found out after we paid the ticket and was so excited about the day that this was the day that they were going to give away a car. Now, I'm a very patient man, but I got in a line that seemed too long. And so I got in another line, and my wife stayed in the original line that we had when we had walked up. And I said, come on, Claudine, come on over this line. This line's a lot better. Well, she followed my suggestion. She knows how I hate long lines. And then the embarrassing thing happened. People started yelling and screaming. And the lady that won the car that morning was the lady that stepped up and took her place in the other line. Well, it's been many years, but you know, my wife still remembers that story, and she still reminds me of the day that my impatience invited her to get into another line. We deal with patience every day, but we don't have to deal with long suffering in our own natural strength. God has given to us an ability of leaning to the Spirit of God, the fruit of the Spirit, to be able to help us in difficult times. Jesus tells the story to Peter, who was struggling with being able to forgive or being able to deal with people that had offended. And he asked the question to Jesus, how many times do I have to forgive my brother who sins against me? And Jesus gives a parable from the 18th chapter of Matthew. And he talks about a king that comes to all of his servants and he wants to settle accounts. And this one servant that he brings before him owes him 10,000 talents. In our economy, that would be a lot of money. And the man could not repay his debt. And so the king said, you and your family and all of your possessions are going to be sold until that debt has been paid. And the man begged. The man said, please be patient. Be long-suffering. Be patient with me. I will repay it. And the king had pity upon the servant and not only forgave him, but canceled his debt. But the sad part of the story that Jesus told was that he went out and found another servant that owed him just a few dollars. And he said to him, "Pay up." He took him by the neck and he said, "You pay up now." And the guy said, I can't, I don't have the money. And he ended up putting him in jail, putting him in prison. When word got back to the king brought that servant before him and said, "You wicked servant, I forgave you of your debt. I showed pity upon you. And yet you could not show pity upon another servant." And he turned him over to the jail keepers, and they put him in jail. No longer would he be able to have a free life until his debt was paid. I am thankful today that the Bible helps us with our tolerating people. The Bible helps us in bearing up with one another. The Bible helps us to understand that we need to be quick listeners. We also need to speak slow, to answer a situation by speaking slow. Because the third thing that James says in chapter 1, not only do we quick in our thinking and our listening, slow in our talking, but James says that we need to be slow to anger. And the reason that he says that we need to be slow in demonstrating our anger is that it says it does not bring the righteous life God desires. So supernatural patience, that ability to show mercy, grace, and love to others at a time of trouble, to be able to show restraint, to be able to be long-tempered or long-suffering before we pull that anger button and before we say things or have actions that become unpleasing or actions that we have to ask forgiveness for. Ephesians chapter 4 completes our thought today. Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient. Bear up with one another. Forgive one another. Tolerate one another. Show restraint instead of anger. In other words, show back to people what God has demonstrated to you. And so today, as we look at patience, may we be those people that do not rely in their own ability or their own strength, but to ask for supernatural spirit fruit to be able to help us with our dealing with people.
Thank you for watching this video from Pacific Christian Center. We developed this video as a resource to help you grow in your faith as we follow Jesus together. Like the video to let us know you enjoyed it. Find more like it on our YouTube channel, and click subscribe so you never miss a video. Find us across social media and learn more about us at pacificchristian.net. I hope this video has been a blessing to you.